Hi, I'm Bianca.
And I'm Byron.
Welcome back to the Self-Made Book Channel Business News Digest. So Byron.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your first news story?
My first story is going to be about Barclays and the bounce back loan with a bit of Rishi Sunak.
Okay.
Right. So, of course, last week it was announced that the government were going to be helping SMEs and small businesses, etc., with loans up to £50,000 with no eligibility check, no criteria, if you're based on your turnover. They'll give you 25% up to 50k. Fantastic.
Yep.
So then I started thinking to myself, has Rishi lost his mind? I was
Okay,
like,
go on.
I was thinking, well, we need this money, the economy needs this money, the SMEs need this money, but to base it on turnover is almost a irrational, it doesn't make sense to base it on turnover because many businesses have the businesses that have high turnover have a smaller margin, generally speaking, right? So these businesses with these hard terms have never seen £50,000, most of them, in their bank account at any one time. So, and then there is no recourse if that business fails or anything like that. So I'm thinking to myself, what's going on here? Then I now think it's a strike of genius. So now on Monday, people were starting to apply, systems were crashing, which I'll get into in a moment. And hundreds of thousands of businesses were applying for this loan. Wednesday, today, businesses are now starting to receive some money. Fantastic. So, Rishi, well done. Now, I was thinking to myself, well, why is this? And I think it's a strike of genius. Essentially, what he's done, I feel, is he's doing almost a stimulus package and he's trying to kickstart the economy, but getting rid of the bank, right? So normally what happens is, quantitative easing happens, they buy bonds, it goes to the bank, it makes it really difficult for real people to get money.
Yeah, sure.
So he said, you know what, forget that. I'm going round and I'm just going to give the people the money. There is going to be so much money in the economy just based on SMEs having disposable income that they would have never had. Now, I've had calls today saying they've received their money. I had messages saying they've received their money. And they're not talking about investing in their business. They're talking about doing other things. Investing in this, investing in that, doing this.
Okay.
And they
think it's their
prerogative.
to do so, of course.
As long as they pay back. And the loan is like 2.5%. You've got it interest-free for a year. It is incredible. So Rishi Sunak, you are an absolute genius. We will talk about this later in our chat, but we'll just give you the news for now. But he's a genius because I can't see any other way for this to be working. So the business bounce back loan is reaching the hands of the people as you know it. Now, the news part of it is this. On Monday, of course, there are only a handful of banks that will allow you to process your application. Are able to process the application. One of them of which is Barclays. Now, Barclays, unfortunately, I have a couple of business bank accounts with Barclays. Now, unfortunately, Barclays, their system has failed. And even if you type on Google business bounce back, it auto populates Barclays error. Right? So as you do, you check Twitter. I've checked Twitter, and everyone's going crazy, right? So for whatever the reason, Barclays have not got this right. And I really, really hope that they get it fixed soon. But I like to give credit where credit is due. Now, some people that I have spoken to today have got their loans from Barclays.
Okay.
But the vast majority have not been able to access these funds.
To even go on the system, to even
register
for the money, let alone access the funds. They've not even been able to register for the money. Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
So with when I did the numbers the other day based on how many applications are going to be going through per minute, it was incredible. So yes, systems do not work, but other banks have been able to do so. HSBC, for example. So well done, HSBC. So Barclays, please help your customers access these vital funds that they need. But on the news front, unfortunately, Barclays, you failed some of your customers, and we hope that you can fix that. Anyway, next.
So I've got another Rishi Sunak story, I guess. So it's on the furlough scheme, which I think we talked about before.
Yeah.
Maybe not on the News Digest, but certainly with an accountant, just going through what that means. So those of you who don't know, currently the government have a job retention scheme, which means that they will pay 80% contribution towards anyone who is made by their employer who is now required to be on furlough, which means they cannot work. So they're given an 80% contribution as opposed to them being made redundant. So great. Problem is, they had estimated that 3 million people would apply, or this would apply to 3 million people, but actually 6.2 million people are using it, 800,000 organizations.
Wow.
And so this, the result is the cost, which has been so far up to the 3rd of May, 8 billion to the government. So when you talk about him giving money, like literally, he is giving money and he is putting money into the economy, which is great because some people would not have been able to survive if they suddenly been made redundant. It would have been a very sad story. So 8 billion, but it's estimated by the Office of Budget Responsibility that should this scheme continue, it's going to cost 42 billion and potentially 8.3 million people might actually be required to be furloughed. And it would be a further cost of 12 billion each month at that level if they continue. So Rishi has come out and said basically that it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for them to continue to do so. And I kind of feel like maybe he should have known that it wasn't sustainable or that more people would apply for it. But of course, I guess you never know what organizations are going to need that support. You might think that they could afford to do it without. So what he's saying now is basically they're not going to just drop it off and stop it on a cliff edge, but they're going to start tapering it out and basically stop it. As you know, they need to stop it at some point. So employers are arguing that if they suddenly stop it, they'll just make everyone redundant because they can't afford to keep them because the money's not there because they've not had business for 3 months. So he's saying he's going to start tapering out. So they're going to go from 80% to maybe 60%, but also lower the 2.5K per month threshold, so that less they're having to pay out, less money over the long term.
It's not ideal, but it makes sense.
Yeah, and then just keep tapering it. I think he's going to, on a month by month basis, going to go 60, 50, 30.
Well, let's
back
hope
to normal.
we don't stay on lockdown that long.
But it's not even just about the lockdown. He's saying when things resume, because even when we come out, on Sunday, Boris is going to make the announcement on what happens to lockdown. So even if he says things are going back to normal, the new normal is not going to be everyone back to work. So they're going to have to slowly reintegrate into society. And so therefore they will still need that contribution. So yeah, another Rishi Sunak one there.
Excellent. So my next one is part news, part politics, part I can't even articulate a word. One that the Breakfast Club use. They say the donkey of today. But I wouldn't use that one, but it's close to. Now, Neil Ferguson, he is one of the government advisors for
Sage.
He essentially was one of the people who strongly advised, one of the senior leaders who strongly advised for people to go on lockdown, and also contracted coronavirus. And he's been very stern with his words about essentially, people must abide by the lockdown
rules
and social distancing rules. Well, late yesterday, he resigned. And I know you're asking, why did he resign?
Why did he resign,
For
Byron?
those of you who don't know, and I'm sure many of you do know, he resigned because, now this is where it's quite interesting. He resigned for breaking social distancing rules. And I was like, okay. So I was like, well, how did he break the social distancing rules?
Yeah.
Well,
and how did he break it in a way that was so bad?
Well, he broke social distancing rules by allowing his lover, sorry, let me add to that, his married lover to come to his home.
Is he married?
So I had to when I read it, I didn't understand. I was like, his married lover, I don't understand. What do they mean?
So his mistress.
So is that, well, I wouldn't.
Is he married also?
It was unclear. I don't believe so. But she is married.
She is married.
Lives with her husband and children.
Right.
So she came to his home.
Right.
and therefore broke social distancing. So,
How do people find that out?
that is the question I want to know. How?
And
Who told?
Who told?
Who saw? Like,
a random woman go to his house and was like, hey!
oh my God. So, the story is absolutely outrageous. He's resigned. I feel a bit sorry for him because I just feel a little bit sorry for him.
You feel sorry for him because he resigned?
No, I'm like,
Because his mistress is married?
all of it. But anyway, that is as it's reported. And I'm just comprehending all of this that, you know, I don't know what's worse. Guys, let us know. What do you think is worse? Is it worse that he broke the social distancing rules? Is it worse that he broke the social distancing rules to his married lover? Or, like, what do you guys think? So anyway, he was instrumental in the reason why we are all in lockdown, why we are all home at the moment. And
I feel like you're rubbing it in here.
broke the rules. What should happen? Should he have resigned? I don't know. I'm going to leave that with you guys, but that is the news as it's reported. Yeah, guys, get in the comments. We need to know what you guys think about this one. Next.
Elon Musk. So Elon Musk is in the news. He's been in the news quite a lot in the last couple of weeks. So the first time he was in the news, or in the last kind of 7 days, was because he tweeted saying the Tesla stock price is too high, in my opinion. That's what he said. IMO, in my opinion, Tesla stock price is too high. He said IMO, yeah. Oh. He's cool like that. Anyway, so as a result of him sending this tweet, it wiped 11 billion pounds, $14 billion off of the price of Tesla, right? And so people were angry, obviously, naturally, because he's just gone out and just said one tweet. And I just wanted this to be a story because it just shows how powerful he is, that one tweet could make such a difference to the value of a company. But then, interestingly, after that, it turns out that now, as a result of, so obviously it created a dip in the stock price and what have you. Yeah. But now, as part of his compensation package, he's entitled at certain levels, if he hits certain thresholds and targets, he's entitled to certain rewards. One of the rewards is he's allowed to buy 1.69 million Tesla shares at the price of $350. Mm-hmm. The Tesla shares are currently worth $761. So automatically he is now managed to, if he does this, he would have just short of 700 million in terms of profit, based on the fact that he's able to buy the shares at half the price. So it's interesting, he said it's too high, but actually if he buys them at his discounted rate, he would be able
He's winning anyway.
He'd win.
He doesn't need it.
He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. And he kind of said, he says some tweets about he's selling his home, he's selling everything, he doesn't want anything, he wants to live, I don't know, a simple life or whatever. We'll see. But then other Tesla or Elon Musk news, he had a baby on Monday.
Okay, cool.
He had a little boy on Monday.
Congrats to you.
There you go.
Elon.
And people were really excited. He had a baby with his partner, Grimes.
Okay.
His partner was called Grimes, yes. And so people were like, Elon, what's the baby called?
Go on.
So what do you think he went with a normal name? Like, is the baby called John? Like, what do you think's happening here? Grimes and Elon. What do you think?
Tesla.
So the baby here said, and people are not sure if this is true or not, the baby is called XAEA-12.
Okay. Is that like a model of a car or something?
People are still trying to work it out.
Right, okay.
So they've gone back to in history and they think X is about Genesis from the Bible. AE is about something, so they've tried to work it out. But yeah, he had to go wacky with the name.
Yeah, he's a wacky guy, and I still invest in Tesla.
Me too.
Because he's that guy that can just make you a fortune. Yeah. I mean, I'm up 58%.
Yeah. Although apparently Volkswagen are coming out of a new electric car, 25k, so a low budget electric car.
Do you know what? I'm really sorry. Who's they? Which brand?
Volkswagen.
I can already see it looking very ugly. I'm really sorry, Volkswagen.
You're not sorry. If you were sorry, you would have said it.
You have to be honest, right?
Do you?
Can you name a Volkswagen that you really
Oh my God, I loved my Golf when I had a Golf.
Yes.
I aspired to having a...
Golf?
Would I buy a Golf? I wouldn't buy a Golf now because I've changed the type of car that I want in life. Fire and stuff. But a Polo and a Golf, that was the car. When I had my Golf, I was...
Yeah, I always wanted a Golf.
I was the right. There you go.
Yeah. All right, let's not digress.
All right, moving on. Final story, you got another one?
No, I'm done.
Okay, final update story. So I think we talked about Virgin Australia last week. So I just wanted to update on Virgin Atlantic. So Virgin Atlantic are now looking at cutting 3,000 jobs. So although this furlough scheme exists, they've actually decided they're going to cut jobs. British Airways cutting 12,000 jobs. So it's really, really bad news for anyone that works in the airline industry. Obviously, this is not expected. You'd think you were quite safe in that type of industry, but unfortunately you're not. But in addition to that, they've both decided to move their operations away from Gatwick and just to operate from Heathrow.
When you say their operations, do you have clarity on what that means? Or
So their flights, the flights and so on that they run from Gatwick Airport, they are now removing. So although apparently
like some airlines only go from certain airports.
So
that's what they mean by operations.
So at Gatwick,
as opposed to like maybe their offices or whatever.
Yeah. So at Gatwick, obviously, when we've flown from Gatwick before, there's certain destinations that Virgin goes to from Gatwick, certain destinations to go to from Heathrow. They're now going to cut their operations at Gatwick. British Airways and Virgin are both saying that. So that's going to have a detrimental impact on Gatwick. And it also might change the destinations we can go to. So the Caribbean being one of them that flies regularly from Gatwick. So it's just another one of those things that, you kind of maybe don't see the knock-on effect and impact of all these businesses having to make these quite substantial changes to stay afloat.
Crazy.
That's it, guys. That's our news digest for today. We hope you enjoyed it.
Tune in on Friday. Remember, we are giving you guys a variety of content, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 p.m. Make sure you tune in.
I've been Bianca.
And I'm Brian.
And Self-Made.
To success.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.